Glock Store might have just let the cat out of the bag with its new 26X, but there are talks of Gen 6 brewing behind the scenes. So now, we're suddenly standing at a crossroads. Buy into the 26X now, or hold fire and wait to see what the next official generation brings. In this video, we'll talk about the leaked Glock 26X, what it actually is, and why it's stirring up longtime fans who've been waiting years for something like it. We'll dive into how it carries, how it shoots, and what practical advantages it offers over the original 26 and even the Glock 19. More importantly, we'll explore how it hints at a much bigger shift, one that could reshape the entire Glock lineup with modular frames, drop-in triggers, and more user customization than ever before. The Glock 26 earned its place in concealed carry lore because it gave shooters 10 rounds of 9mm power in a footprint small enough to vanish under a t-shirt, yet large enough to run the same robust internals as its bigger siblings. Its 3.43-inch barrel and stumpy slide clear leather or kydex with impressive speed, and the stubby grip tucks into the waistband without poking ribs or belly when bending or driving. Anyone who has tried to appendix carry a Glock 19 all day knows how even half an inch of slide length starts to matter once you sit for an hour. That first exposure told an entire generation of armed citizens that real firepower no longer required a service-sized frame. The trade-off, of course, has always been control. Lopping off that bit of steel moves weight rearward, so the pistol whips just a little more under recoil. More important, the stock 26 grip offers only room for 2 fingers unless a spare magazine wears a pinky extension. Under slow fire, the short handle feels serviceable, but when the tempo rises, the support hand fights to stay locked, and the pistol often shifts in the web of the hand during a fast build drill. The moment a shooter adds +P ammo, the deficiency becomes even clearer. For years, enthusiasts fixed the issue by borrowing 15 or 17-round magazines from the 19 or 17 and sliding on plastic collars such as the X-Grip. This hack produced a quasi-26X long before anyone blessed the configuration with an official name. And it worked, sort of. Unfortunately, the collar can pinch skin, catch a cover garment, or slide upward during a hurried reload, leaving a crescent gap that rattles against the magazine well. Many shooters tolerated those quirks because the benefits were so obvious: keep the concealment advantages of the tiny slide, yet gain the leverage of a full fist on the gun. Glock Store's decision to formalize that idea with the 26X finally turns years of kitchen table tinkering into a clean, purpose-built package. The upper half remains a Gen 5 26 slide, complete with forward serrations and the Glock marksman barrel, so anyone already confident with current parts compatibility will feel right at home. Below the takedown lever, though, lies a grip that mirrors the 19.5 profile, no finger grooves, improved texture, and a subtle magwell flare that encourages speedy reloads. Because the entire frame is molded as one piece, the annoying flex and drift of a grip sleeve vanish, the support hand meets a continuous surface, and the little finger finally finds purchase. Recoil feels closer to a G19 than the original G26 would ever allow. Yet the muzzle still rides low on the belt during carry, shaving crucial millimeters from the distance between holster mouth and belt line. Anyone who carries in the car for hours at a stretch will appreciate the difference the first time he leans forward to reach the glove box. Shooters sometimes ask why the 26X matters when slim frame pistols like the 43X or P365 exist. Capacity answers that straight away. 33-round fun sticks or 24-round competition magazines snap into place without any proprietary base plates. The thicker grip also spreads recoil impulse across a broader contact patch, keeping the pistol flatter and reducing the tendency for micro-nines to torque upward. Where the G43X shines in true deep concealment, the 26X straddles a different niche. Maximum controllability in the smallest slide length still capable of running full-size double-stack magazines. In other words, it scratches the itch many shooters feel after trying to tame the original baby Glock with sleeves and extensions. To appreciate how each Glock 26 era behaves, consider the practical quirks rather than cosmetic changes. Early Gen 2.5 samples launched with finger grooves, but no texturing between them. Under rapid fire, those smooth bumps never offered enough bite, and owners often needed to readjust every 3 rounds. Recoil felt brisk, partly because the light frame lacked traction, and partly because hotter loads like Corban 115 plus P acted more like small-scale Magnum rounds. When the Gen 3 arrived, Glock added grenade-style checkering in the grooves, which gave sweat and rain something to grab, though the geometry still forced hands of every size into the same channel pattern. Some shooters with medium hands loved the indexing, while those with thick fingers cursed the ridges that directed pressure into a narrow line on the front strap. The Gen 4 rough texture frame finally fixed traction complaints through stippled pyramids and introduced a dual recoil spring that shaved off a perceptible slice of snap. Even so, the grooves persisted, so anyone whose knuckles never agreed with them continued filing or sanding or slipping on grip tape. The Gen 5 turned a corner, grooves gone, texture refined, magwell subtly funneled, draws smoothed out because the pistol slid along the inside of a holster without catching on bumps, and the shooter's chosen grip naturally found consistent placement. Compared to its predecessors, the Gen 5 26 feels almost glued to the palm when running controlled pairs. Layer the 26X concept on top of that evolution, and things get interesting. The long grip improves control far more than any texture tweak ever could. During sustained fire, the muzzle still lifts slightly faster than a 19. But the full support hand wrap pulls everything back on target before the front sight settles. Faster controlled fire translates to tighter groups in defensive drills and matches, especially when the shooter is pressured by a timer. Reloads speed up, too. Without a sleeve riding over the magazine body, there is nothing to snag on the mouth of the magwell, and the flared opening on the 19-length frame invites a fresh magazine straight home. For those who train to emergency reload from concealment, shaving even a tenth of a second while retaining a consistent firing grip feels like unlocking cheat mode. Carry experience supplies its own set of pros and cons. The shorter slide eliminates the discomfort many feel when bending at the waist. The muzzle ends sooner, so the barrel doesn't lever outward against the belt. That single feature keeps grip pressure even and helps maintain proper cant. However, the longer grip does project farther from the torso. Under a thin athletic fit shirt, printing will occur unless the holster is dialed in with a wing or wedge to press the grip inward. Under a hoodie or jacket, the issue fades, making the 26X an attractive cold-weather carry companion. Compared to the G19, the difference is still significant. By moving 2/3 of an inch from the slide rather than the grip, the 26X lowers overall height only marginally but reduces the portion of the gun that jabs into the pelvis when sitting. Comfort in daily life often trumps theoretical concealment in a mirror, and shooters who value that comfort will forgive a little extra grip length. The question many ask next involves generations and timing. If the Gen 5 Glock 26 already handles well and conceals cleanly, why bother with a hybrid or wait for Gen 6? The answer lies in how each option meets individual priorities. Anyone who values absolute minimal printing still wins with a Gen 5 26. Especially with the flush 10-round magazine. The flared magwell means reloads remain respectable, and aftermarket 12-round factory magazines give 2 more cartridges without harming concealment badly. For a shooter who trains regularly and wants a practice session that mirrors the feel of a duty-sized pistol, the stock 26 grip just never satisfies. The 26X fills that gap, delivering G19-like purchase while trimming the most carry-relevant dimension, the slide. It serves owners who tried the 43X but missed the control of a thicker backstrap, and it answers the complaints of those who relied on X grips yet hated their quirks. Eyes naturally turn toward Gen 6 because Glock seldom purges large slices of its catalog without filling the production lines with something new. Distributor sheets recently lost dozens of SKUs, obscure calibers such as 357 SIG and 45 gap, several 40 caliber variants, and a surprising number of Gen 4 and even Gen 5 MOS configurations. That move would make no sense unless a far-reaching change is coming. Patent filings suggest precisely that. A self-contained trigger unit dropping into a keyed pocket promises swappable pull weights and easier armory service. A takedown system disengaging the striker without a trigger press addresses perpetual training hazards and agency procurement guidelines. Even more intriguing, schematic drawings depict an upper frame holding the serialized portion married to lower grip shells that clamp below the trigger guard. Rather than copy a full SIG P320 fire control chassis, Glock appears to keep the trigger bar, locking block, and rails in one reinforced insert while letting the user choose short, medium, or long magazine wells. If production follows the design, owners could convert from a GLOCK 26 length grip to a GLOCK 19 length in seconds, effectively building official X models on demand instead of buying multiple pistols. Where does the 26X fit into that trajectory? Think of it as real-world market research at scale. GLOCK Store ships enough units to gather meaningful data on adoption rate, warranty claims, and accessory demand. If the hybrid format flies off the shelves, GLOCK headquarters gains proof that shooters want configurable lengths and will pay for them. That data feeds into Gen 6 planning, informing mold decisions, launch quantities, and accessory bundles. At the same time, the 26X lets early adopters enjoy many of the grip benefits rumored for Gen 6 without waiting. And because the frame accepts Gen 5 internals, parts compatibility remains painless. The decision matrix, therefore, breaks down into three simple scenarios. Shooters who demand the smallest visual signature yet still want double-stack capacity should keep or purchase a Gen 5 26, pairing it with factory 12-round magazines and perhaps a clawed holster to tuck the grip. Enthusiasts hungry for better recoil management and faster handling today should consider the 26X, accepting a bit more grip printing for a leap in control. Finally, anyone fascinated by modular fire control groups, optic-ready direct mounts, and quick-swap grip shells might hold funds for Gen 6, prepared for a likely price bump but eager to run the latest engineering straight from Austria. Each path is legitimate because each user context differs. Daily undercover detectives, small frame civilians, and minimalist carriers gain most from the existing 26. Trainers, competitive shooters, and those with larger mitts will squeeze extra performance from the 26X. Tech geeks who rotate guns often and crave the freshest innovation will inevitably gravitate toward Gen 6 once it appears. The key is honest self-assessment: how you carry, how you train, and what compromises bug you most. Capacity, grip length, slide comfort, accessory support, and future scalability all play into the final call. The beauty of GLOCK's ecosystem is that magazines, sights, and most small parts flow freely across generations. The 26X keeps that spirit intact, using proven slide assemblies and trigger mechanisms. Even if Gen 6 rewrites the rulebook, legacy support will linger for decades. After all, original Gen 3 components still dominate the aftermarket 2 decades later. No matter which option a shooter picks, reliability remains baked in. That reliability, paired with newfound adaptability, makes this season in GLOCK history genuinely exciting. For the first time since the MOS plate system, users aren't simply getting cuts or textures, they are seeing structural shifts aimed at everyday practicality. A safer takedown procedure eliminates classroom mishaps. A trigger pack offers true plug-and-play tuning without trips to a gunsmith. Grip shells promise a personalized fit without the legal headache of transferring a serialized part every time a new duty standard lands. And the humble 26X sits in the middle as a bridge pistol, borrowing established elements, yet hinting at the modular mindset soon to sweep the entire catalog. When the next family of pistols debuts, maybe at the next NRA annual meeting, maybe at a surprise standalone launch, expect many of the lessons learned from years of 26 tinkering to surface across all frame sizes. Until then, shooters finally have an off-the-shelf answer for the one Frankenstein GLOCK mod that always made sense. The short slide that carries like a subcompact and fights like a compact. The idea's time has come, and the market's response in the coming months will likely shape GLOCK engineering choices for years to follow. And that's a wrap. Would you run the 26X over the standard 26 or wait it out for Gen 6? Would you mod your own or go turnkey? Let us know in the comments. Then hit like, share this with your fellow GLOCK nerds. Subscribe, and don't forget to slap the bell icon so you don't miss what's next.